Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of the DirtyV and Chico Show, starring me, DirtyV, and along with me, my good friend Chico.
What's up?
And today we're going to be rocking and rolling through some pretty advanced topics. It's going to be beast mode on some Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, beast mode.
Avengers Endgame, it's coming out April 26th, about pretty much exactly 1 month from today. And probably not since Black Panther have I been as fired up for for a movie.
Okay.
For one of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
Did you think? Because I know it's dumb, but when if I didn't know about Endgame coming up, I would have thought that Infinity Wars. I would have thought that Infinity Wars was the last, was the end of it, like it was done. I wouldn't have expected so much that I was gonna have to wait. There's another movie after this, really? And then I remembered, oh yeah, there's another one. In fact, there's two, right? I mean, because I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet.
Yeah, at least the last ones that they ended off with was pretty much they had Infinity War,
Mm-hmm.
then they had Ant-Man and Wasp, and then they had Avengers Endgame's getting ready to come out.
Those are you saying all?
Oh no, sorry, Captain Marvel just came out a couple weeks ago.
So you're saying,
right?
Do you're right about all of that. I'm just wondering if there was anything at all included in any of the X-Men films as well, to anything having to do with the Infinity Stones, because there was the X-Men films. What was the other Marvel film? But Logan was the last one that came out recently.
Yeah,
right?
they had that, but those aren't tied in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Those are like 20th Century Fox or something.
Get out
like
of
that.
here!
Yeah,
X-Men aren't part of that either. I didn't know that.
No, well, they just recently did an acquisition. They made a huge purchase where they bought
Okay, I think
lots
you're right.
of. I mean, you can check it out and Google it if you want. I can't
No.
remember exactly what was involved in that transaction. I don't even know if they said exactly what, but it was. I think it was like hundreds of Marvel characters that the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Disney, I think owns them.
Yeah, it's Disney.
They can now use those guys in their movies now, which is something that I wanted to come back to later on in the podcast, which is kind of things that you might be kind of hoping to see in the upcoming Endgame movie involving some of these new acquisitions. Like Spider-Man is probably what their biggest.
Well, see, and that is kind of one of the things that I was thinking about, because I would hope or would have liked to. That's why when I was looking up earlier the different things I was looking up, I was trying to remember some of the guys from the Mutant Massacre, because there were some pretty intense battles in the Marvel comic universe that I thought could also be tied in. I have to be honest with you. I was never a really huge Avengers fan at all.
No?
No, I wasn't. I was more about
I wasn't either.
I was like Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and the X-Men. Those were
X-Men is the lifeline of comic
so
vitalization or whatever.
So it gets me that they're not part of the whole storyline, and that's why it's starting to make sense to me now, because I'm watching these movies and I'm like, okay, when's Wolverine gonna bust out?
It's all ownership and
okay.
I don't know the full history of it, because I think it goes back pretty far, but this was a huge thing. So in this deal, I'm pretty sure the X-Men were part of it. I'm pretty sure the Fantastic Four were part of it. I don't even know
really?
I don't know if Daredevil and Carnage and all that, those movies, they just dropped new movies.
We should do an episode where we check that
investigate
out.
that a little bit more.
Out,
yeah, I mean, it goes pretty deep, and I don't know exactly how much of that information's public or whatever, so it might be just kind of gossip talk or whatever.
It's just weird.
But they did make it was I think billions of dollars that cost them. I think it was $4 billion, almost as big as the Star Wars.
I wish they would just keep all that stuff together, because that was one of the cool things.
They're going to try, I'm sure. I don't actually. You know what? I take that back. I don't know. I think it was a deal where they can use it for so long, like 10 years or
Oh,
something
really?
like that.
Okay, yeah, we definitely have to go back and look at that.
Because they already got, I think they got they have 5 Spider-Man movies scheduled,
Okay.
I think, and they did one that was Homecoming.
So that's
And
when
then-
they're like, well, we will get Spider-Man because
Like,
at least we
you
can
know,
make
we're
him an
cashing in
Avenger,
on
yeah.
that, son. So they're like, all right, they're like $5 billion. They're like, oh, we just hustled, we hustled these dudes. They're like, yeah, whatever. They're like bringing the boys that did phases 1 through 3, and then they're like, who's that? And then they bring in some dude that pulls in one of those old school scientist whiteboards with the projector, and then they just shoot up like Black Panther Part 2, Doctor Strange Part 2. They're like, what? Spider-Man gonna be in that? They're like, Spider-Man's gonna be in that. They're like,
do you like what they did with Spider-Man though? I mean, like the whole techno suit and everything.
I loved it. Yeah,
really,
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. I don't. I know it's not probably 100%. To the, but they've made a lot of comics about Spider-Man since what you're thinking.
Yeah,
of.
That's true. I haven't honestly
like
read.
They've been making him.
Yeah, so
that's their money maker right now.
But the thing is though,
well, maybe not right now.
In the Avengers saga, they've got Spider-Man as like brand new.
Yeah,
and he
they
starts
just got
off
him
with this brand new techno suit.
Yeah,
and all that stuff like that. And
I like how they brought him in though.
Yeah,
like I thought, and I like the kid
Tony
that plays
Stark.
him. Tom Holland, I think is his name.
Yeah,
I like him. He does a good job. I think he's naturally has a foreign accent, so he does a pretty good job. Like, actually,
I don't know. I'm going to say something that's kind of a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen,
we should.
If
probably,
you haven't seen Infinity
we should probably
Wars,
go ahead and throw a spoiler alert out.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen
about anything we're talking about.
Yeah, because if you haven't seen Infinity Wars or Ant-Man and Wasp, we're going to probably be saying some things about it. So, yeah.
Delving into this.
So maybe like click away or
so
something
things
like that.
might come up. If you ain't seen those, things might come up. But it might save you some time if you're like, I don't really want to see the Ant-Man and Wasp. You should see it because it was an awesome movie.
Well, but I wanted to talk about... Sorry, I wanted to talk about Spider-Man, and that's the thing in Infinity Wars, because, I mean, I don't want to really ruin it for anyone, because you know how that kind of turned out, right? And that's like, because, that's one of the things you were talking about, like, as far as... one of the things that I want to see when Endgame comes out, I want to see, because I mean you can't really, the way how Infinity Wars ended, and I already said spoiler alert, so you got to bring back Spider-Man, right? I mean you got to bring back a lot of those characters. You can't just kill them off.
Yeah, I mean I feel like with the Infinity Gauntlet that Thanos has. Obviously, if you've seen Infinity Wars,
we call him Thanos.
Thanos. That's my Chico accent on there. Thanos, son.
I thought it was Thanos.
Thanos, if you're from up north. If you're from down south, it might be Thanos.
Okay.
Thanos. Yo, what about Thanos? I would like 2 Thanos and 1 Pepsi Cola, please.
You stupid.
So
and that I was actually reading back, and go on. What were you saying?
Well, basically, what I was gonna say with the Infinity Gauntlet, you seen that there's like it has a lot of power, has a lot of capabilities. They did all kinds of just anything you can think of with the reality time.
Reality, time, space.
Especially Time Stone, because that's the last one that Doctor Strange released. He released it very voluntarily, like he had a plan. He told Tony right in his eyes with burning fire, he was like,
I had to do it, or
this is the only way, Tony.
Yeah. But he can't really have a plan because he couldn't know who was going to be part of the 50%.
He knew what he knew. He said it was like, I seen it in he says like 14 million.
But there was only one
only one way, baby. One way. And the doc has got the remedy. Yeah. He knows what up, dude. He wouldn't have gave it away like that. And he said to Thanos, he was like, I will give this to you if you let if you let him live, or if you let Tony Stark live.
Did he say that? Well,
so
that was
obviously
at that time, but it wasn't. I don't know if that meant that was also part of the agreement. Well, I mean, obviously we know Tony Stark does live at the end of it.
Clearly, because he's in the trailer.
Right, but he couldn't have known that he was going to live with 50% of people all getting ready to die.
But Doctor Strange knew. Do you think it's coincidence or it's not coincidence that the only people who are still alive are the original Avengers, at least in the cinematic universe, not the comic original Avengers?
I didn't notice that
Like
because
Thor,
Hulk's still alive.
Hulk,
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
Spider-Man wasn't one of them.
No. Iron Man and Captain America.
Wait, but Black Panther
and Black Widow.
No, Black Panther wasn't one of the original.
No, he didn't
ones.
make it
Yeah,
because he
okay.
said, "Oh girl," I can't remember her name. He's like, "Oh girl, there's safer places to be than the battlefield or something like that."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh," and faded away. Spoiler alert, my bad. I'm kind of tearing up a little bit.
Whatever.
Black Panther, man.
Well, that's why I was also thinking.
I was like, for both of them, I was like, no, we just got them.
And then Spider-Man was kind of like, really? But that's why
that was an over dramatic moment. I felt like, but it was still good.
Well, he's a kid, you know. I mean,
They originally we were supposed to have a fadeaway color. When they faded away,
what do you mean originally?
Like in the original filming or the original cuts or whatever you call it,
Okay.
like the unedited or a early edited version.
Okay.
Like when they fade away now in the movie, it was like just a kind of an earth color,
Like they turned into
round
flakes.
mud color. Yeah,
It reminded me of some movie. I'm trying to remember what movie it reminded me of. I think it was the one with Tom Cruise and that little girl with the funny teeth. What's her name? The space aliens come to the planet and War of the Worlds. I think it was. Yeah, it reminded. Wasn't there something in that would always turn to dust? I think it was it was at the end. Oh yeah, at the end.
Remember?
Well, at the end of War of the Worlds.
I'll have to watch that one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one in a long time.
Everything.
What
turned
I was
to
gonna
dust.
say though is they all turn to dust. It's like an earth color or kind of like a mud color.
Uh-huh.
But originally, they were going to be whatever color Infinity Stone took them out or whatever.
Okay.
So if it was the Time Stone that took you out, they would have faded away with a green dust or whatever.
Okay.
But I guess the directors said that it took away from the actors' performance.
How do you mean?
Like it was distracting.
I would think that it would make me think that there was a particular stone would be able to bring them back to life or whatever. Like, oh, if you get this,
that might have something to do with it as well, and maybe it might be too revealing.
Right, exactly.
They're pretty tight on their revealing about keeping things on the hush. Not so much the actors, because there's funny clips of them spoiling all kinds of stuff, but as far as the directors and the writers or the main real people involved with the actual how that's going to play out, I feel like they've done a fantastic job. I've watched quite a few videos. There's a lot of videos out there that they kind of dissect the movies.
Okay. Oh, what do you mean? Like as far as looking for like flaws in it? Or?
No, there's one in particular I'm thinking of. It's called I think it's New Rock Stars is the channel, and basically they just kind of look for Easter eggs and kind of things you may not have noticed when you were watching the movie or overlooked or for whatever you went to the bathroom or something and you came back.
Right.
But either way, they kind of break it down. You're like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Oh, okay, that's what that. They kind of make connections where unless you're a total comic nerd, you might be oblivious to it.
Right.
And then it actually, when you see that, it gives you a lot more respect for the directors and writers and all those people. Not only just working as a huge project, but you're like, man, they are like. They are paying respects to the comics and stuff, and that's pretty cool.
And that's the thing. That's one of the things that kind of threw me off about it. When I collected comic books, a lot of the times it was that I would be really into a story, but then you would see like in the subtext that you had to, go back and to finish this plot or to understand something that was going on in the actual storyline, you had to go back and buy, Spider-Man 361 or something like that. You had to buy 3 other issues.
Yeah,
and that's kind of like what
that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like what they're doing with the Marvel.
Absolutely,
cinema. And because I know I'm watching not Infinity Wars, but the one right before. Oh, I was watching Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, and I remember when Loki was in there, he was trying to find the sword, I think, to unleash. I don't remember. He was in that hall where they had stuck the skull.
trophy hall or whatever.
Yeah, and he passed one of the Infinity Stones, and I didn't even know how long.
The Tesseract.
How long have they been making these? Like, when did the first one that ties into all of these? Really,
the first one was the Hulk.
Which
the one that had
reboot?
The one that had your boy in it, Ed Norton.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah,
that was the first one.
Yeah,
that had an Infinity Stone reference in it.
What
was the first one that tied into all of these? That's what I'm trying to.
Okay, so the first one that tied in was the Hulk.
Okay,
and then the second one that came was Iron Man 1, and that was really the first one that really started laying down Easter eggs.
Like how long ago was
2009, I think.
Wow.
I think it was 10 years ago.
They're making money.
They've been doing it for 10 years.
Because you got to watch all the movies to
really fully appreciate.
Even if you didn't watch them all now that you know that, oh wow, there was all this going on.
I don't feel like you have to though. If you have any kind of comic knowledge about the Hulk or whoever, I feel like you could step in and watch any one of the movies. I feel like you'll benefit way more if you watch all of them.
No, I don't think you can tie the reference in that way because the comic saga and the movie storyline are like totally different ones. Like right now,
they're not the same for sure.
Because the Hulk has gone through a lot of different phases. There was a time where the Hulk. And that's why I thought it was funny because I don't remember which movie they were actually making that reference, but I think it was in Ragnarok where Thor kept going. He was like, "Sun's going down soon. Sun's coming down soon. Sun's coming down soon."
Yeah, that was from Avengers reference.
Because
cinematic from their movies.
There was a time where the sun. It was basically when the sun came up, the Hulk came up, and when the sun went down, it was Bruce Banner.
And they do that a lot in the movies. They make a lot of like.
But that wasn't all. That was like the earlier reference. That was like when he first became the Hulk. I believe it was like that. But then later on, it was an anger thing, and then after that,
they have and they've even speculated through some of the videos that I've seen online that these are all spoilers, guys. I don't want to break any hearts out there. These are all, and some of these are not even spoilers. Some of these are just either stuff I've seen through Buzz or other articles of fans and stuff online. So it might spoil the upcoming movie if it's correct. But I mean, we don't have any hookups with any of these. So there's absolutely no way you can literally know. You can just kind of make some logical guesses based on because they connect everything. Right. So yeah, if you really don't want to if you want the next movie to be a complete surprise, you might not want to watch this until it comes out, just because. Because we're gonna make some speculations that may end up being right because some of the people that I watch, at least online, they're smart and they know their stuff, and it's like when I watch it, I'm like, they may spoil some stuff, but I go in knowing that.
I watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, some of the stuff. I mean, if there's like you said,
if it's gonna ruin your life and you ain't gonna get no sleep, then
because one of the things that I was. Why do you think? Spoiler alert. Why do you think Hulk won't come out? Do you think he's scared?
Oh yeah. Sorry. What I was gonna get into is what's the what's the prophet like kind of sensei that taught Doctor Strange?
Oh, I wasn't big on Doctor Strange either.
Before getting into judgment, you got to watch Doctor Strange about 4 times before you start to get into it.
About. Yeah. I didn't see that.
You got to watch it about 2 or 3 times. I had to watch it 2 or 3 times, but I like your boy.
Who?
What's his name?
The
guy who plays Doctor Strange.
Oh, I don't know. He's cool. Who is that? I'm like looking at
Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch, or whatever. He's good. I think he's an Oscar winner. I think
maybe. Why is he my boy?
I just saying your boy.
Like
the kid, the boy, the boy Benedict Cumberbatch. That's what they call him back home. He's from England.
I thought you were gonna
tell me. That lad.
I thought you were gonna tell me like Ice Cube was in the movie or something like that.
Nah, T.I.'s in it.
Oh yeah, I know.
He's in Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's the one, Ant-Man and Wasp. I don't know.
T.I. reps hard in that.
Do you think it was supposed to be acting that way? Do you think he's just a
Yeah.
really bad actor? Because
Nah,
he's been in other movies.
He's
I
funny.
think.
He's not a great actor, but I mean, I don't think they pick him up for his acting ability, which is, in my personal opinion, getting better in each movie. So
ATI. What are some other movies he was in? That he was in a couple of hood movies.
I seen
back
him in the
day.
one movie with Denzel Washington. We're really getting off topic, but what's the one where he's
Not
the drug
really. We're
dealer or
talking
whatever?
about T.I.
Whatever the one. Yeah.
You know what? I stopped watching Denzel when he became a superhero. Like when he started doing like action figure superhero stuff, I was like,
that's like a thing where it's like you become 60 years old and make an action film.
I'm like, come on,
Stallone,
man, get back to the
keep
drama.
that rolling with that Rambo 4, basically. But no, but seriously, what I was gonna say, what were we talking about?
We were talking about you were talking about Doctor Strange and the one person.
Oh yeah. Sorry, golly, we got off topic. The Doctor Strange Prophet Master Sensei. What's that person called?
I don't. What is this?
Their name.
A sensei.
No, in the comic books, do you know what that character's name is?
No.
They have a character that.
No, I can look it up really quickly.
If you want, that's
No,
fine. It doesn't
I don't
matter.
wanna
It's
look it
like
up.
it's called the all-knowing one or something.
Oh,
It's not,
omnipresent, omnipotent.
not the definition, but I
Oh,
mean
what is
their
his
their
name?
actual name.
The
is,
Watcher? Was it the Watcher?
Yeah, it's not the Watcher, but it's something like that. It's an old character, and they
Who
teach.
controlled the Silver Surfer?
I don't know, but they believe that's the person who's going to grant the Hulk. Because if you notice, there was a struggle with the Hulk in the,
I thought the Hulk was
Avenger
scared
Infinity War.
because he got his ass
No,
kicked, basically.
but that's what you might think at first. But I think what it was is Banner only looks, or at least what I've been seeing kind of from the comic
Right.
breaker downers, comic nerds, is that the Hulk is he does Banner only looks to the Hulk when he really needs him in desperate times,
Okay.
basically, or like when he needs muscle.
Okay.
And he can't. Hulk thinks that he's better than, or he's better off without Banner. Banner.
They've separated them before. in
Yeah,
the
and it's
comics.
kind of like where that's what Ragnarok was about. Is
Okay.
Hulk was kind of like, screw you, Banner. I don't need you. You're
Yeah,
weak.
yeah,
You don't.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
bring
yeah.
anything to the table, basically.
Oh, you
but
think they're going
he-
to separate them?
No, I think he's going to merge. I think they say that Sensei character is going to grant Hulk the
Oh, he's going to turn him into
intelligence
Grey Hulk.
to where they can work together. Basically,
He's going to turn him into Grey Hulk. Grey Hulk, basically,
where he's wearing
yeah.
he's wearing the Avengers.
Well, his skin
outfit.
was gray.
Because we don't have it queued up or anything, but in the Avengers,
Grey Hulk was Banner and the Hulk combined. He was a genius, but he was
some of the Avenger either trailer or in some of the media for the movie promotional media, it shows the Hulk wearing an outfit that's
Okay.
not ripped.
Okay.
So they say that's an indicator.
Kind of like the Beast. It was something like him as well too. The Beast kind of did the same deal. He had, and that's the thing, because that's why like I kind of get confused or bugged out about the cinematic version of Marvel, because I don't know which storyline they're trying to follow. I don't know which they're merging different timelines of the comic book characters.
Well, they do have to dance around some of the legal owning
Right.
rights, usage, whatever it is.
And they have to make it topical. They have to make it, it's got to be current. The stuff that I was reading back when I was a kid probably isn't as exciting right now for the stuff that, to make
Yeah,
a
and
movie.
they do a little bit of that too, where they we were kind of talking about that, not on any of the videos yet, but we were talking about Captain Marvel, how there's a big visual different representation of Captain Marvel in this recent movie that was released, and what Captain Marvel looked like in the older comics
Right.
as Marvel Girl or Miss Marvel, I think it might be in.
Well, there was
And,
different ones.
Captain Marvel, who was a man, I think originally.
No, I think the original Captain Marvel was a black woman. You can look that up, and that's where there was a whole controversy about that as well too.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
But I was thinking. I remember what we.
But
had
they
got-
do a little bit of that in the movies too.
Yeah,
You know, just for like
yeah.
what we're talking about, just to kind of modernize things, try to get a little equal.
Well, I was reading about that. And the thing was,
Representation.
so the thing was that DC had. I was actually reading about this. It's interesting. DC had Superman, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And Marvel under a name before they were Marvel, but it was Marvel Comics. They created a superhero that was pretty much the same as Superman, but they called him Captain Marvel. It was a white guy, I guess. But they called him Captain Marvel. Well, DC sued Marvel Comics because it was like, just because he had a different name, it was like, that's basically Superman.
Right.
So they sued Marvel Comics, and so they lost in, like, it was tied up for a little bit, but a few years later they decided to
DC
bring
lost?
it back. No, DC won.
Okay.
DC won and Marvel lost. So Marvel kind of tanked Captain Marvel for a little bit, but they wanted to, when they finally actually became Marvel Comics, they wanted to have a Captain Marvel
like
there,
that.
right? So they brought it back, and to make it completely different, so they couldn't say it was Superman.
Yeah.
I think it was a black woman that they brought in. It was a
see.
black woman, and then we can pull some of that stuff up. But then I think
we can
there
try
was
to fit it
controversy
in.
about that, and then they turned it into a white woman, a white girl.
Gotcha. That says they always try to. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl.
Basically,
They're like, what's gonna rake in? They're like, all right, we threw out Black Panther. Granted, we did rake in more money than any other movie ever, in the history of all
so
time.
I'm thinking about the comic book thing. I don't know about the whole the cinematic tales about it. I just know about the comic book history. This was like back in the 60s.
There's a few
70s.
comic characters, though. Honestly, we can probably, maybe we should do like a short video just showing the comic verse.
The what?
The cinematic, like, Nick Fury as his representation in the 50s.
Yeah.
Because I think I saw
Nick Fury wasn't black.
I saw a when I went to Vegas recently, there was an art studio that had a bunch of like awesome comic art.
Okay.
It was legit art, but it was like either comic,
like I know some of the famous artists.
possibly, yeah. It was expensive. It was like thousands of dollars for it. And they had one that was a Nick Fury, and it was a like a collage. It was like a photo of Samuel L. Jackson, but as you zoom in, there's like smaller things.
All the different
and then
Furies.
There's little things, and then there's like background of older comic strips, and it showed Nick Fury, and it was definitely a white dude with a blonde crew cut and a patch. And then I just saw recently somewhere that they said the recent Nick Fury reboot or whatever they call it of the reboot of Nick Fury, they actually used
a black guy.
Samuel L. Jackson
really?
as their model character for it. And so like he's been basically from the get-go, they're like, dude, we want him to be what Nick Fury visually looks like.
Is that so? Then let me ask you,
which I think is awesome, by the way. I think Samuel L. looks a freaking awesome Nick Fury.
I don't know if you know this or not. Then I mean, this is just a question that we should find out the answer to. The people who, whether it's Sony or Disney or whoever, who purchased, like, let's say the characters, let's say the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Did they also purchase the comic book characters in the comic book story? And if they did that mean that they only purchased like part of Marvel and didn't purchase all of Marvel? They only purchased some of the stories, and are they changing some of the stories in the comic book world? It's so complicated for me. Like, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. They made their deal. I think it was like a contract where it was something. It's probably very specific, where it's like you can use these specific entities for these amount of years, these amount of movies. It was probably like on the breakdown, I would guess, just because those are valuable, especially nowadays, and you've seen what they can do with it if you got the right writers.
Comic books are still one of the few printed media that people are actually still buying. You know, I mean,
yeah, I feel like it's still kind of died down from what it used to be, but I feel like it's still kind of it's got to be injecting life back into collecting comics and stuff like that, just because they are visually cool, if nothing else. Baseball cards.
I don't know if collecting them anymore, because now I think it is the fact that it's so saturated that everyone's got.
But what do you think? Do you think they make 1 million of them now, or are they like, well, that many people don't buy it, so we're gonna make like 100 racks?
I think they make them. I think they can make just that, and then you get the digital copies, and then you get the,
digital copies. But that's not a physical copy, which is different, and it's a collector's item. It's just like having a book.
Yeah,
if you got a collector's, if you got a hardback version of Moby Dick, yeah, it might not be worth much monetarily, but it is nice having a physical thing that you can flip open the pages. You can literally see the effort in the.
I would have to think though that now that there would have to be something so spectacular in the comics. If it's not that, it'll take a lot longer for the comic books that are out now to become of value than like the ones. Like if you've got a collection of comics from the 60s or 70s or even the 80s, pretty much most of those comics are of value because of the particular kind of artwork, because of the storylines or whatever. Whereas the ones that you have now, I was going to bring it into the ones that you have now, it's just saturated with so many different stories, so many different plot lines, so many different things that you're not probably.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of buzz with the movies and all kinds of stuff going on right now, so they're probably trying to fulfill a demand. But I mean, in the end, I still think that there's a collecting aspect to it.
Yeah, probably. I shouldn't.
I mean, if you went to, let's keep it simple. If you went to 100 kids between the ages of 10 and 14, how many of them do you think will have recent comic books within that made this year?
I would think probably none. I think
zero.
I would think most of the people collecting comics are people like over like in the 20s.
So then if you multiply that by 100,000, how many do you think?
A 10 to 4. I think there's a lot of people buying comics. I just don't think it's that age group anymore. That's the target group that it used to be. I think
you still think it's like our age.
Yeah, I think it's people like our age and like like the people that
you see. But you think
like
they buy comics?
Yeah, the people that you see. What do you call those people at the Comic Cons?
How many of those people can there possibly be?
What do you call those people that dress up like
Comic Con people?
Yeah, the
cosplayers.
Yeah, there you go. Those cosplayer people. Yeah. I bet you they're all buying all the comics and stuff like that.
Just scooping them all up.
Yeah, and then
I will take 4 of the Deadpool series. I don't know if you've seen the movie; it's really good. Ryan Reynolds. But I'll take all the comics that you have.
Basically, I mean, I don't see.
Funny. You're probably right.
Kids are playing video games and stuff. They're not reading comic books for the most part, They're just they're just like, I mean, they're playing what's that one
You're like a book?
Yeah.
Like I gotta hold it in my hand and flip it open and look at it? Oh.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, can I plug in my laptop and look at it through virtual reality?
Exactly. They want to look at it on their Amazon
Yeah,
Fire
they got a Kindle version of this?
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of name drops, and no, we don't do any advertisement.
No, right, exactly.
Well, all right, back to the cinematic universe. We know there's going to be some discrepancies between the comics and the movies just because mainly... Probably just what you said. They'd probably love to be. You see how much work and effort they put into the movies with what they're allowed to use. Right. If they were allowed to use X-Men and Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, you don't think they would have been in the first Iron Man time, or they would have probably popped things off with Spider-Man back in the day. Why wouldn't they
at least just, even if it's Sony and Disney, man, they should make a, come on.
They kind of did that before. That was like, this is something that the nerds and fanboys are like, dude, we never thought this would have happened.
Yeah, because that's why I thought
it's huge.
When
okay, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say when I started hearing the buzz of Infinity Wars, I thought they were talking about the Secret Wars, where I think it was Doctor Doom created a whole different planet, and he sent like all the bad guys and all the good
Secret
guys
Wars,
to that planet.
I think with the Skrulls, I think is that.
Yeah, I think it had something to do with that, but I think those guys were on the moon. But
I didn't see.
So the Secret Wars, Marvel. But it has to have. It has the X-Men. It has like all of Marvel.
Wolverine
guys.
is an Avenger. So my prediction is Wolverine. I'm pretty sure Wolverine is an Avenger.
No, he's not an Avenger.
Wolverine is like in every single group, pretty much.
He is not an
Other
Avenger.
than who's Luke Cage. The Defenders.
Cage.
Wolverine was not a Defender, but he's like every other group.
Wait, Luke Cage, the Defenders, those were those Canadian guys. Yeah, I think Wolverine.
No, that's Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Yeah,
and
Power
Daredevil.
Man and Iron Fist, right? Yeah, but weren't they?
And Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I remember that. I know. Oh no, I'm thinking of Alpha Force, I believe they were called.
Oh, X Force.
No, Alpha. There was an X Force, but I'm thinking of Alpha Force. There was a Canadian group. I think that's where they first introduced Sabretooth.
That's who I think what they're gonna do because. Sorry, I didn't mean to anywho you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to anywho you. I was trying to get back to my main point, which was like. they can use these guys in the new movie. So that was one of the things that I was kind of hoping, is that they were gonna have a surprise new person in this movie. And I was gonna ask you if there was anybody you were kind of hoping that they might drop in this, because I was thinking maybe Wolverine would be the smartest move to do.
That would be smart.
Not Hugh Jackman, a new one.
Well, the Hugh Jackman's not Wolverine.
No, because I think he's part of the other. Just like Spider-Man was played by that other guy that just did it recently, he was not in the Avengers new movie that Tom Holland was.
Yeah.
Because those are different rights and entities or whatever, and they don't own that. So any outfits or anything you saw in X-Men United or whatever, you aren't going to see in...
That's crazy.
Because they don't own that or whatever.
Okay.
They got to make all new stuff. So that's why in...
No, I mean, in this movie, the people that I would have wanted to see, like you said, would probably be, I mean, either an X-Men or
a
like...
Fantastic Four person that could just drop them in. Like it's nothing.
The people who, I mean, to me, the people who were best fighters, they killed off Spider-Man.
Did you watch? What's the one where? Oh wait, actually no, that's not. Sorry. But any of the X-Men they could bring in.
Yeah.
Even Deadpool could probably make an appearance. I don't know if he was acquired. But he's popular right now.
I mean,
and he's the kind of person
that can kick some, that can kick some real butt. Of the X-Men, there's only a few really. I mean, like Storm is good, Wolverine is good, Phoenix is like, if they brought Phoenix, that would be dope. But
that would be bringing the Ruckus.
Yeah, because Phoenix is I
don't know if they do that though.
Nah, they should though. They should. I
feel like they might,
a real Marvel universe, because that's the only way you could defeat the Avengers themselves. From my understanding, my remembrance of the comics, they could not beat Thanos by themselves. They would have to it would take a whole team of all.
Well, they did it in the
different...
comics, didn't they?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
even
what's her name
Wars...
grabbed it in the comics?
Who?
Nebula? What's her name?
Maybe I was reading some of that.
Who's the machine one for Gamora's? Gamora?
I don't think she was in
Gamora's.
I don't want to. You have to look it up, but I don't think that it was just them. But
in the comic,
right.
she had, and I saw a picture in the comic. She's holding up the Infinity Glove, and she's like, "I wish for I wanted it to reverse it 24 hours."
But they killed Gamora, right? I mean,
not Gamora, her sister.
Oh, okay, that's who you're talking about.
The one who rolled out with the knife and wanted to straight shank Gamora,
yeah,
and crashed down the whole ship. Did you see the?
Are you talking
Guardians
about
of the Galaxy
part
movies?
2? I saw one. I didn't see 2.
You didn't see 2? You should see that.
I was going to look. I saw that 2 was up there. I was like, I need to probably see that.
So hilarious.
As well, too.
What about Infinity War? They were so hilarious. Especially the scene where they picked up Thor in the beginning. And
who is that guy who plays? He's just human, right? He doesn't have any powers, right?
Who?
The guy the captain of the
Chris Pratt, Star-Lord?
Yeah. Who is he? What is his name?
He's actually really powerful.
Is he?
I think so. Yeah, because they I don't think they really talked about it a lot, but they did a little bit in part 2. His father is a planet.
Oh, really?
I can't remember. But basically, his father's a planet, played by Kurt Russell, and basically, while they're on there, while he's on the planet learning from his dad, he does construct a energy type. And I don't know if it was coincidental, but it was blue, the same color as the Tesseract. Okay. And he touched an Infinity Stone. If you remember, I don't know if that was Guardians 2. He touched I think he touches the Tesseract with his bare hands. And you remember that one didn't go so well for Red Skull. He got whisked over to the whatever.
Red Skull was in one of those. In which one was that?
He was the Watcher in. Did you watch? You watched Infinity?
I saw Infinity Wars. Yeah.
When he goes to, where does he take Gamora?
Oh, okay. I remember where he takes her to something. That was Red Skull. I was like, because I didn't.
For me or something like that.
I have to see it again.
You must to get the. What was the one that? What was that one called? The
what?
Soul Stone.
Oh.
If you want the Soul Stone, you must give.
I
don't know why he gave him a.
That was supposed to be
Marlon Brando. He sounded like Marlon Brando from The Godfather, but basically, yeah, that was Red Skull, dude. He's like, I've been chilling here since I touched the Tesseract like a dumbass.
Yeah, see.
He's like, I shouldn't have done that. I've been chilling in the Silstone waiting for somebody to come over here.
Okay. See, yeah, you do have to watch a lot of those movies.
You gotta watch them a couple times too, or you gotta watch one of those like channels that kind of break it down, where you're like, oh crap, I didn't even connect the dots because it's been 4 years since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like you were saying that there was some kind of a group or whatever that they'll pay you to like watch all the series, and then so that you can
there was
like
a job advertisement I saw that basically they were kickstarting some online cable a la carte service or whatever. Or something to where they were
a chat line or something.
They were playing all leading up to Infinity Wars. They wanted you to spend a 20 or 48-hour marathon watching all the movies.
You mean leading up to Endgame.
Endgame, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Watch all marathon of all the old movies.
Do they give you a list of
while
the movies
tweeting and doing other kinds of online social media type.
Really?
Yeah.
You have to study them. I'm sure. Like you got to pay attention.
I don't think so. That in the requirements it said like just needs to be a fan. Has to be. You have to like basically do a good job.
Wow.
It can't be like some ridiculousness. But basically, if you know how to do.
They pump
at
out
least
those
this
movies
level
like
of stuff.
it's
I
nothing,
think,
man. Like it's like, gosh, like, they're making. I keep thinking of how much they're racking up on that. Like
they're making a lot of monies, but golly, they. I don't feel like they're not doing a bad job. I like all of them. I like all of them. So, and I feel like all the people that they've cast have been like really pretty good fits as far as I can think of.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really make too big of a comment on that because it's been like a good 20 years, and I'm sure there's been a whole bunch of different character development.
It's been 10 years they've done it.
No, I'm saying that since I've been actively reading comic books, I stopped reading comic. Oh gosh, I'm older than that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing is like it's just like Star Wars, the new Star Wars. It's like, yeah, you might not be able to get into those new Star Wars if you're completely hitched on the old original Star Wars because they don't match up perfectly, and they
don't.
They've made changes that conflicts directly with.
Okay, with the cinema,
their stuff. So if you're really hardcore and you can't let those things go, then you're gonna be really critical of the new movies, which is the same thing with the comics. It's like. But you can't be super critical because you got to understand a lot of those comics were written in the 50s.
Yeah.
And, when you originally were reading them, you were probably like 15 years old or less or whatever. It's like,
than that. But, and also,
it's just like a Nintendo or something like that. If I play Nintendo, I love Nintendo. And I love Super Nintendo. But there ain't no way it can compete with anything that's going on nowadays, even on a mobile phone. But I still have sentimental value for that stuff because it's nostalgic for me and things like that. So, there's probably a little bit of that going on.
Yeah,
with
that's
comics.
the thing, and that's why it had been so hard for me to watch these movies.
Yeah, but you got to try to let that go, man. It's like, dude.
Oh, I did.
And I don't mean anything by it, but it's selfish way of kind of thinking where it's like you got to change it a little bit if you want to share it with the new class of people, the new breed of kids, whatever you call them, the new kids, the new class or whatever. It's like,
well, that's the thing. Like I have two generations of kids, right? I got an adult set, and I have the kid, like the younger little kid set. The adult set, I was all on like, let's get into the Spider-Man. The little ones, I'm like, yeah, Spider-Man, whatever, because it's not the same.
And they can probably mash up with Spider-Man because Spider-Man's probably one of the best examples of people that they've done that with. They've changed, and there's so many iterations.
How many reboots did they have?
Who knows? There's probably at least 4 or 5 that I can think of that were huge mainstream hits.
And then they started another one all over again with a different storyline. Like what? But you just had part 3.
And even in the comics, there's I played a game that had Spider-Man as one of the characters that you could play, and in the game you can change your outfit into the different timelines and stuff. Spider-Man and Iron Man had the most different outfits, but Spider-Man had so many outfits.
Spider-Man had a lot of outfits.
He just had so many different outfits.
Iron Man had a lot of outfits too.
Same with Iron Man. But
Spider-Man, as far as up to the point when I was reading him, though, never had a computerized technical outfit.
Well,
I don't know if he ever
does
did.
Now.
In the comic books, I haven't even seen any of that.
Oh, in the comic books, I don't know, but he probably does.
Okay, I haven't seen any of that Into the Spider-Verse stuff. Have you?
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I kind of want to see it. I'm not huge on the animation anymore.
But it won an Oscar.
It looks all right. I wanted to check it out. I just haven't seen it yet.
Academy. They're the same thing. An Academy Award is the same as an Oscar, isn't it?
Yeah, and in that, I think there's still small little ties
to
the everything else that's going
really.
on.
You're probably right. I gotta find out who owns what.
If through nothing else, just like the storyline and things like that. Yeah, there's small little connections. I think.
I would be looking it up, but for
Sorry
some
if
reason,
not.
as I was using this, it just decided to lose the internet connection. So I
saw that. Oh well, get them next time.
Like, all right, well, I won't be searching up anything, so that's
Well,
all good.
I don't know. It's all good. We could probably wrap things up here pretty soon.
Yeah,
I just
right
wanted
on.
to talk about get a little bit of in-game
So-
buzz going, so that we could kind of get excited for in-game.
And I am excited. I mean, I still have to see Captain Marvel too, because I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that ties in there. Because I mean, she flies into space and everything, and is like, you know.
I know. I want to see that really bad. I wanted. We should check it out. We can maybe see if it's coming out. But I want to see it just because I feel like there's going to be some connections.
I think it's on my Roku.
Between that, obviously, and then the end of Endgame, where
Yeah.
Nick Fury is clearly paging.
Yeah,
Captain
we should see
Marvel,
that,
so-
and we should see Endgame when it comes out.
Oh, I definitely
Do
are
like
gonna
a
see that.
double
Yeah,
date or
we'll
something.
do some kind of release for that one,
Yeah.
probably.
I'm sure your lady likes that stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah, but she'd be like, "You guys go see that."
that's cool.
Yeah, so we'll see about getting something out. We haven't really had a lot of videos coming out recently because we've both been really busy with a lot of stuff. I recently got married and been doing a lot of work leading up to that, and then after we had a little honeymoon, stuff like that. So we're back now, so we can kind of focus a little bit more on the show, get some more episodes. We got some other projects that we've been working on the side that are a little bit more time consuming, so we won't have those as regular, but they're still interesting and gives us a little bit chance to be creative and do some funny stuff and do like that kind of stuff. So is there anything else you wanted to touch on the Avengers Endgame or anything like that before?
No. There's plenty of stuff we could go and talk for about 4 hours, but no.
Yeah, we could go on forever. So
I'm sure eventually we'll have we'll be more into checking our comments, and we'll have an email and stuff like that for people to get sent to, and we'll get you get out the Instagram links and all that other stuff. But so if we do have other things to talk about, or if other people want to talk to us, we can always communicate through that or through or through Twitter or what have you. So.
Yeah. As we start to get a little bit more active, we'll try to get a little bit more chatter going, a little bit more dialogue maybe going with anybody watching.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll wrap things up. Thanks for watching the episode. If you like the episode, feel free to with the like button.
Yep. Hit subscribe
and
too.
Subscribe if you want to have, because there's a notification bell right next to subscribe that kind of gives you heads up if we drop anything new.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, awesome.
All right. Well, then we'll wrap things up now. And Avengers Endgame, April 26th. We may get a video before then, may not. If not, we'll get something up after it comes out. We'll check you guys then. Later.
Peace.